Welcome to my channel, still your host, Oby Udeze. Today we will be starting a new book from the table of my daddy, Reverend Dr. Revchrischristian, titled The Title Deed of Faith. Faith functions through title deeds. It is what God gets from us that determines what He accomplishes in our lives. The foundation of faith is laid on title deeds. We connect to things we hope for through the substance of faith. The faith of Abraham needed the sacrifice of Isaac to connect him to God. Faith is action-oriented. If we separate what we provide for God from what He will accomplish in our lives, miracles will not happen. Abraham authenticated his faith in God through the sacrifice of Isaac. Our faith in God is represented by our title deed. Faith without work is dead. Faith without title deed is spurious and bound to fail. It is the sacrifice we make that represents our faith in God. Lack of faith is responsible for stinginess. Faith is sacrificial. It was the relationship of Abraham with the spirit of faith that motivated him to sacrifice Isaac. It was the faith God had in Himself and His ways that motivated him to sacrifice His only begotten Son. We should not develop faith only on what we want God to do for us, but we should also develop red-hot faith on what we will do for God. Jesus laid down His life because He had faith in God and Himself. The death of Jesus on the cross didn't only reveal the value of Jesus' life, it also revealed the measure of faith in Him. Faith did not only aid elders to obtain reports, it also improved their individual values. It was also an act of faith that established the spiritual kingdom of God. We cannot arrest the future if we refuse to finish with the past. It is who we are that determines what God accomplishes through us. Jesus had to put on immortality before establishing the spiritual kingdom of God. It is only an immortal man that could have the spiritual kingdom of God into existence. Faith functions through the value of men. It is what we plant that determines what we will harvest. Everything that came out of God has a part of God. Creation was possible because God is sacrificial. God lost part of Himself to create the earth. Nothing outstanding can happen on earth except men lose things that are important to them. Jesus had to lose His life to establish the church. It is the values of man's life that determines what can be made out of them. Faith without sacrifice is dead. Because of the demand of faith, it is not possible for two people to function the same way. The lives of men speak on the things they are invested on. It is what men see that determine how they relate with faith. Those who are spiritually blind cannot function by faith. The spirit of faith enlightens men to see themselves. God doesn't hide Himself from those who can see themselves. God preserves the life of men through what they see. God measures our faith through what He reveals to us. The reason Peter couldn't continue to walk upon the water was because it wasn't his faith. Peter operated on the faith of Jesus for a temporal time. It is the measure of faith we have that determines what God will accomplish through us. We are all born with our own faith. Jesus operated the faith of Christ in His first adventure, but in His second adventure, He will operate the faith of the Lion of Judah. God relates with men according to their measure of faith. Well, we have come to today's episode from this my daddy's book, the title Deed of Faith. I will see you same time next week. Love you plenty for always coming around my channel. Bye.